Some people. But did you get that line? Look at yourself. It's in us all. Because actually there's not an us and a them. There's just an us. Brother Yusuf is correct in my consciousness. The world is a mess. It is a mess, but you know where chaos is, God says, creativity. Where we see horrific problems, God says, possibility. And when we feel just great loss and sadness because of the violence and the hatred and the man's inhumanity to man that we see, God says, an opening for something new. So when we see this world as a mess, it's time for you and me to remember what we teach and what we know. Because it's important. It's time for us to deepen our roots in our teaching, which is, and we don't care what you call it, if you call it blues or gospel or God or creativity or infinite intelligence, but God is all there is. And we are one with God. Not some of us, all of us. We're all little circles in the big circle of spirit, infinite intelligence, unlimited creativity. We are there. That's us. And you and I need to deepen our roots, because there's a part of me that's that some people person and points the finger when there's something like, oh, how can they do that? But what we know is that everything out there, where does it start? Always starts in consciousness, in spirit. Always, always, always. There's a beautiful book I just ordered because I plugged in the title for this week, and it was A World That Works for Everyone. And this beautiful book, Creating a World That Works for All, by Sharif Abdullah. And I looked at the peak place where you get a little preview of it, and I loved what he said. This man was born about when I was born. We were born on different sides of the country. He was born March 24th. I remember that because that's my dad's birthday, March 24th, 1951, in Camden, New Jersey. I grew up on the West Coast in a different type of environment. His environment was one that was very difficult. Lots of violence, lots of poverty, lots of toxic relationships, public housing, just lots of things that weren't, gang violence all the time. So it was just not a situation that would necessarily bring out the best in people. But Sharif, who was born as Sherwood James Stanton, now I love it, Sharif Abdullah, he found the best in himself, and I don't know how. But as a teenager, instead of getting into violence, he got in a group that made the decision to make Camden a better place, Camden, New Jersey. And they together built a sewing factory for women to work, and several daycare centers, and some stores and a gas station. And he got on this road of feeling how it feels to make the world a better place. He kept on that path as he got his law degree, and when he got his law degree, he worked with some of the indigent people, trying to help them get housing, and some of the affluent people in the area that wanted to create places to serve. But he also found that it was a difficult path. It was a path of division and separation. And so he decided to quit that after 6 years and really start his work on transformation, social, cultural, and spiritual transformation. And he said, although people today want to say that the problem with our world is terrorism, capitalism, something ism, it isn't that. The problem today is exclusivity, wanting to be separate from other people. So his work is all about inclusivity. Inclusivity. Now, this is not a new thought. This is something that has been passed on for thousands and thousands of years. However many. But we're not getting it. I mean, if we think about it, the teachers, all the teachers have said, not all spiritual teachers, the Bhagavad Gita about 2,500 years ago said, we shall never arrive at peace when we deal with the pairs of opposites. If we're living, yes, we live in a world where we learn by opposites, but we don't have to live there. We don't have to live in the divisiveness of opposites. If you think of my beautiful mystical poet Rumi, when he says, out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. Now, I'm going to stop for a minute there. The right doing and wrongdoing come from our ego, because our ego thinks that we are separate. Would you agree with me? When we look at the world through our eyes or hear, we think we're separate. He says, out between the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I will meet you there. The field is our soul. Our soul knows that we are connected. And Rumi goes on to say, when the soul lies down in that grass, language is just not big enough. Words, ideas, even the phrase each other doesn't make sense anymore. The message for us from the words spoken 2,500 years ago in a 700 verse Hindu scripture that was a conversation between Krishna, God, and Arjuna, a prince, was about the struggle within to lead a better life. How many of you are having that struggle right now? Hello! Same thing. This is all these many years ago that we heard that. And then Rumi also said, I love Rumi. He's having a conversation with God also, and he says, when you are with no one but me, when you are with no one but me, you are with everyone. When we get to that consciousness, the spiritual consciousness, we know we are one. He said, when you are with no one but me, you are with everyone. Instead of being so bound up with everyone, be everyone. Be everyone. Oh, that's me. That's me. That's me. All part of me. The little circles were all part of this big circle. That's me too. Now, Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, our philosophy, he synthesized the wisdom of all the ages and cultures. He brought them all together and popped in his own mysticism into it. And he said, when you have a conversation with the only infinite one, the one and only infinite one, that one will speak directly back to you. There's a reciprocity there. And it will say, 1, 1, 1. I am God. There is no one else. Talk, live, breathe, think, know that you are a center of that one. How much better does it get than that? I mean, really, that's empowering, that's good. We know that we have got to deepen our roots and start living that. You see, all this that we see in the world, that we were talking about, the violence, the inhumanity, the lack, the separateness, the fear, all of that, for me, comes from a place in us of spiritual starvation. Would you agree with me? Yes. Being spiritually starved, and so many people feel separate and alone. You know, communities are available, but people feel so separate and alone, it's too fearful to get involved or step up. How do we know if we or someone else is spiritually starving? You know, the Course in Miracles says, there are only two things. Every action is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's a common thing we all share. One of the many, many, many common things we all share is that we all want to be loved and we all want to give love. So if in this world a sign of spiritual starvation is anger and violence, which we see a lot of today, anger and violence. Now, anger can be a really good thing. It can be healthy. It can be a perfect reaction to a difficult situation in a small piece. But when anger and violence become a way of life, it is just filling the emptiness of not having a spiritual connection. There are so many ways in our world today to be in denial and in numbness. I don't even need to list them. To distract ourselves so much that we don't have to see what's going on around us. But you know why we deny and get numb? We don't want to feel. And I believe the whole reason there's a waiting line of souls out there waiting to come to this planet Earth is because we feel. Feeling is wonderful. Yes, it's painful, but we can't get rid of the pain. Pain and joy are two sides of the same coin. Pain and joy are two sides of one coin. So we need to know we're not here not to feel. Yeah, we're not here to be all the time, but we need to feel and be part of life. And when we deny and numb ourselves, it's telling us we just aren't courageous enough to feel. So see a practitioner. See somebody that can help you just bring the best out of yourself. And the last one, I forget. I think I have another one. Yes, control and manipulation. Do any of you have any people like that in your life? Are you one of those people? When we want to control and manipulate life, of course it means we're living on this physical plane more than letting that power and presence of infinite spirit do its work through us and as us, because whenever we talk to God and ask a question, it always gives us the answer and the power to fulfill it. So when we want to control and manipulate, it's because we want to try to take things in our own hand. It comes from that place of fear and powerlessness. So when you see yourself acting from those areas, it's a time that we get spiritually regenerated. So let me ask you, this would be a really good question when you get in one of those places. Well, first of all, since you know that when we have this direct access with God and we talk and ask the question, it will be answered. You can ask, how many of you started the day today and just said to God, what's mine to do today? A question as simple as that will give you the power, because we're powered up by, who's the thinker behind our thoughts, right? So we'll be powered up to get those things done. So we have to think, okay, how do we regenerate ourselves? Let me ask you this question right now. What do you want to tell the next generations about your life? That you were one of the people that destroyed the planet and people and the things on it? Or do you want to tell the next generations that you wrote a new story? Your own story, not a story of someone else's, but your own story. Now, it's not actually a new story because these good, wonderful stories have been told over and over again, but it's time we do them. Love is the organizing principle of the universe. Love. Ernest Holmes teaches God is love. So love, God is the organizing principle. Love is the organizing principle. So if we go down to the simple basics of love one another, the basic golden rule, do unto others as they would do unto you, Jesus said. And after that, I'm sure he said, I really mean it. I mean, maybe not in that tone, but in a powerful tone. I really mean it. Do unto others. Do you know the golden rule is dispersed in different ways all throughout every religion, or almost every religion? We want to do to people what we want done to us. And what do you want? Do you want love? The answer is yes. Do you want forgiveness? Yes. Do you want kindness? Yes. Okay, that's the golden rule. We're called to live by that. Which means, and this is my call of action to you, there's 3 things I want you to think about. Just today, tomorrow, whatever, to surrender our small, limited self to our greater self. Yesterday morning, I just wasn't feeling well. And Kurt came in and I said, will you just do a prayer for me? And I'll tell you, a prayer can make you feel unbelievably different. Of course, I didn't leap up and run around, but I felt a whole lot better. And prayers work. Surrender your small self to your bigger self. The second thing, we have to do something extremely important, and that is, I just talked about it. Fill yourself with love every day until you have a reservoir of love in your heart, so you can pull on it, pull from it during difficult times. This world is not meant to be pain-free. Pain is our teacher. Thank you, whoever over here. It's a Petra. Pain is our teacher. We're not here to be pain-free. So if we fill ourselves with enough love, that reservoir, we can find that love in times of difficulty. And last but not least, if we're really going to create this world that works for everyone, and can I just say, a world that works for everyone is not a utopia. It's not a world that's perfect. It's a world where there's enoughness, there's balance, there's respect. We are each on our own individual journeys, self-discovery. We have free will. We value that. We value free will, creativity, but it's simply enoughness, respect, and balance. So if we're going to create this world that works for everyone, we've got to merge with the spiritual atmosphere of others. When you cannot talk to someone because they are in their spiritual starvation period, or a group of people is in that way, or there's violence, we can merge with the better self of people, their spiritual atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? Yes. We can talk to people through the energy of spirit and love, and the language is always love. So what I'm going to ask you now, just unwrap yourself. Just, free yourself up. Be open, be available, be ready. We want to make sure, and just, if you feel like closing your eyes for just a minute, we're not going to do anything long or difficult, just a minute. Just take a breath. And if you need to tilt your head to one side or another, just let all that thought stuff out. As the Zen masters say, you can't fill a teacup that's already filled with to-do lists and old beliefs and all those things. So just empty, empty, empty. Take a nice deep breath. And connect with that spark of love within you. That light of love. Remember, love is the guiding principle, the organizing principle of the universe. So connect with that light of love. And now know, and you don't have to do it, but just imagine your hands in front of you, both giving and receiving, because we need to be an inlet and outlet of love in equal balance, an inlet and outlet of love. Because if others are loving and we can't receive, that breaks the circle, the cycle. So be an inlet and outlet of love. Let that spark, that light fill you, fill that reservoir within you, because right here, right now, in this and every moment, know that you are loved without measure. You are loved because you are you. You are a child of God. You are a spark of the infinite. You are a beautiful being, a soul on a path of awakening. So let that light spark within you. Let it fill you. And as you allow that love to be the reciprocal nature of your life right now, as you let that light be the light for you and the light of the world, I'm going to invite you to just take a nice deep breath. How are you feeling? Are you feeling loved? Are you feeling good?
Yes.
Are you ready to take a stand?
Yes.
Okay, stand up. Only if you want to be part of this creating a world that works for all, which just means respect, balance, and enoughness for all. It doesn't mean everything's equally, this way. It just means we're all on a path of freedom in a way, for sure. So let's just say, I commit with my heart, with my soul, with my mind, and my behavior, to bring the best out in myself, and to help bring the best out in other people. I am a light. And so are you. And so are you. And come on, point to the people here. We got to share. We are inclusive. We are loving. We are here for each other. So I'm going to invite you, as you opened yourself, hopefully to stretch a little bit, that you leave today letting that light shine and know wherever you go, you can merge with the spiritual nature of people, the physical nature with people, the loving emotional nature, but your light makes a difference in this world. It matters to me. And I love you all, and I'm proud to be part of people that come together in this consciousness. Please know how much I love you.
Amen.
Thank you.